Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. Today we're going to go through how we can connect Goodreads, the website for tracking the books that we've read, with PowerBI, the app for making dashboards. So by the end of this we'll be able to have a dashboard that shows us cool plots and visuals about how fast we're reading books and how many good books we've read and things like that. So to start with, here's Goodreads. We need to come to My Books tab in Goodreads, and this is the information that we're going to pull through to our dashboard. And to make sure we have all the information on all the books we've read, just make sure you come down here and change this to infinite scroll. So we've got all our books on this page, and all our ratings and all our date reads and things like that. And so we're just going to copy this URL. That's going to give us the information that we need in Power BI, and then open a new blank Power BI dashboard. From here, go to Get Data, and then from Web, and then when this box opens, just paste that URL into this box here and click OK. And the first time you go through this for Goodreads, you're going to get this pop up here asking about any extra passwords or login information that you need for your Goodreads page. For this, it's fine to just go with anonymous. We don't need any extra login details, so stay with anonymous and click connect. Now we get the navigator window pop up. There's a few different tables on that website that we can use, that we can get data from. So you can explore a few of these, and there'll be a preview in this window here if you want to click through them. But the table that has most of the information that we need is table 2. So I'm just going to click the box next to table 2, and you can see in this preview we've got all these things like the titles of the books that I've read, and the authors, and the ISBN numbers, and things like that. So that's the information that I want. Before I load it in, I'm going to do some transformations on the data. So click Transform Data. And we do some transformations because it's not quite ready, it's not quite in the right format that we need to use it to make a dashboard yet. So now we're in the Transform window. We can do a few things to clean up this data. First of all, you can see the first row should actually be the names of the columns. You can see in row 1 we've got title, author, ISBN, pages, things like that. And it's given the columns the column names column 1, 2, 3 and 4, which aren't that helpful. But Power BI has a useful tool to fix this. If we're in the Home tab up here, I can click Use First Row as Headers, and just click that top one there, and that's going to take my first row and use it as my headers. So the data's a bit cleaner now. That's a good start. The next thing I'm going to do is maybe clean up this author column. I won't clean up all the columns, but I'll show you how we can clean up our data. You can see in every cell we have the author, which is great, but we also have the word author and a few spaces after it. So a good way to clean this up is if I just click in the first cell and then go to Transform and Replace Values. So we're going to basically replace the word author and this set of spaces with just nothing. So it should just disappear. So I'll go to Replace Values, and because I clicked into that cell, it's given me just the text in that cell. So I can just delete my actual author, which I want to keep, and leave the author and that number of spaces, which I want to replace with just nothing. So fill out these two fields, click OK, and now we just have the author. So that's a good start. I'm going to do this for a couple of other columns maybe, and then we'll actually make some visuals in our dashboard. So I've scrolled across to rating 1. This is the stars I've given it. Instead of a number of stars, 5 stars is it was amazing, 4 is really liked it, 3 is okay. Let's get rid of this dots rating and this new line here. So it's a bit different because it's got a new line, but we still should be able to replace dots rating, the new line, and the spaces with just nothing. So I've clicked into the first cell. I'm going to go Replace Values, and I get the same Replace Values window pop up with what was in this cell. And you can see it's got dots rating and then #LF. That stands for line feed and basically means new line. So that's stuff we want to replace. We want to keep that last bit and click OK. And now that's looking a lot better. I'll maybe replace rating 1 with stars. So it makes a bit more sense. And one more thing I might do is the date that I read the books. So I've come over here to the started column and I can see from the information in it that it's the date that I finished reading the book. So started is a misleading name. I'm going to rename that to date finished. Then I'm just going to do exactly the same thing that I've been doing before, replace values, and I'm going to have to go across a bit, replace everything except for that date, which is going to change each time. And now for this one I'm going to do one more step, because you can see next to date finished there's this ABC. That means Power BI is treating it as text and not an actual date. It's going to be a lot more helpful to us if Power BI knows it's a date. So I can change that by coming up here to data type, and instead of text, just change it to date. So now that we've cleaned up our author column, our rating column, and our date finish column, that's a good amount of clean data for us to actually make some cool looking visuals. So let's get out of here by clicking close and apply in the home menu. Now once that's loaded, we've got this table 2 to use. I can expand that and you can see all the columns that I have access to. Maybe a good one to start with, a good visual, is this clustered column chart. I'll just click that and drag it over here. So for the axis, along the bottom axis, I'm going to put the date read so I can see as time has passed how many books have I read. So here is my date finish, which we cleaned up. I'll drag that over to the axis. And because it's the date, it's recognized this year, quarter, month, day, and we can turn those on and off depending on what we want. For this, it's good to have year, because we'll have lots of years in our data. And then to count the number of books I've read, maybe I'll just drag title over to the values. So this is just going to count the number of different titles in each year. So now I can see how my reading's been going for the last few years. That's quite cool. I can change these titles on the axes and on the main title here, but that's looking good just for a quick example. And maybe one more thing, I'll click on this pie chart. Let's bring in a pie chart of the ratings of the books that I've read. And for this, I'm going to use that stars column that we cleaned up. So here it is down here. Drag that into the legend. You can see now we've got a legend with different ratings depending on how many stars I gave it. And to actually make the pie chart, also going to drag stars into the values. Cool, so now we can see I have a lot of books that I thought they were amazing, just one book where I didn't like it. And the cool thing about Power BI is now these are kind of automatically connected. So if I click on my 5-star part of the Power BI, this is going to show which of those books I read in each year were 5 stars. If I wanted to find where that 1-star one was, I can see that I read it this year in 2023. So that's quite cool. And there's heaps of things that you could do with Power BI. Maybe I'll just do one more thing. And a good example to use that author column that we cleaned up maybe is to add a slicer. So this is just going to be a filter that filters the books that get shown on the page. So if I drag author into field here, it's going to show all my different authors, so I can see when did I read something by Tolkien. I read one a year for 4 years, and I thought they were all amazing. And if you ever update any information on your Goodreads account, say you finish a new book, or you change your opinion on a book and change your rating, that will refresh on your Power BI if you just come up here and click this refresh button. Or if you've published this Power BI, maybe you have a Power BI license, you can of course just set that refresh interval to be once a day or something like that. So that's a very simple little Power BI using Goodreads. Good luck with connecting your Goodreads and making some cool dashboards about the books that you've read. Thanks for watching.